Hello and welcome to R&B Reviews. I am Rob.
And I'm Dave.
And this is our third edition of the Ask the Critic segment. This is something that Dave and I decided to bring back to celebrate this channel's 5-year anniversary. And what we have been doing is we've been answering you, our viewers or subscribers' questions. And so this is our third one. This might be our last video, but if we get some more questions, we'll do another one for you. Alright, today's question comes from Stuart Raw. He asks, the One Direction movie, is this a boy band movie just for teenage girls, or do you think it might get a wider audience? And some additional information about it. It's only, so far it's only made like 27 million in North America. It's made 31 million internationally, and altogether it's made about roughly 58 million. So it's currently the 5th highest grossing concert movie. It's made a little bit more money than the Katy Perry movie that they did and the Jonas Brothers one. It didn't surpass the Justin Bieber or the Miley Cyrus Hannah Montana one, or even Michael Jackson's This Is It. Now, I'll be honest with you, I really don't listen to One Direction's music, or I haven't really seen this movie at all. I really don't have an interest in seeing it.
I didn't even know there was such a movie. I'd heard of the band, but I don't really know much about them. I just know they're a boy band, because I wondered if they were like the Jonas Brothers, where they play their own instruments, or if they're more like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, where they just sing and dance and whatnot. So, but yeah, I have no interest in them. Yeah. I used to like the Jonas Brothers a little bit because they were good guitar players and whatnot. And me and my cousin had always said if they'd get away from like Disney's grasps, then they might be like better with like blues, rock and roll, and whatnot, like the Stones or the Who or whatnot.
Perhaps they could have. But to answer Stuart's question, do you think it would get a wider audience, or is it just for teen girls? Based on what I've seen, I think that it might appeal to more people besides teenage girls. Like, I've seen them on talk shows, and you have like grown women, you know, going nuts over them. I think it's going to be a mostly female audience, but I think it will appeal to more than just teenage girls.
Yeah, there will be some women like in their like maybe early to middle 20s there, and maybe some even in their 30s, because I remember the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC had a certain following of women that were a little bit older. Yeah, depending. So especially if they had kids of their own.
Yeah, I think maybe even into the 40s. I mean, but I think definitely it's not. I just think it's this. This movie may not be just for teenage girls. And what's interesting, I don't know about the rest of the world, but last weekend this is something that I've never seen done before. The studio put out an extended cut in theaters. This movie just came out maybe like 3 weeks ago, and just last weekend they replaced the theatrical cut with this extended cut where they got 4 more songs in there. Which if you want to see an extended or a director's cut, you have to wait till it comes out on DVD. So I'm wondering whether this might be something new for the future, because I don't know whether the studio did it to try and grasp more money out, because it's doing decently here in the U.S. I mean, it's made 27 million, but I don't know whether they were hoping that if they release an extended cut, they'll make more money. They'll get the people that saw the theatrical cut, to get them back in the theater to see these 4 new songs or what. So I'm wondering, do you think movie studios might actually start doing this?
They might, yeah. I mean, they've done it. I know they've done it with other bands in the past. Like they did it with the Woodstock movie. They made the original one from the 60s. They made an extended cut, director's cut and everything, and they put that in theaters. And then I know they did it with a couple like Grateful Dead concert movies. Yeah, but this took years. I mean, they didn't put the director's cut of Woodstock together till maybe like just like a couple decades ago, where they did it like to celebrate like the 30th anniversary. I mean, like they're gonna release them. I'm saying, what if a studio releases a theatrical cut for a few weeks, and then while that movie is still in theaters, they replace it with a director's extended cut? I'm wondering whether that's something studios are gonna start trying out. Like, let's say the Avengers came out. They played for a couple months, and then before they pull it, they're like, hey, here's the Avengers extended cut. Here's 20 minutes of more footage. And they do this before the movie leaves theaters. So I'm wondering whether this might be something studios are going to try out with movies to try and get more people back into theaters. Yeah, and they might also, if they want to add 3D to it or something, they could do that too.
Yeah, like if it was originally done, as a regular 2-day movie, they could try that out. Because I mean, most 3D movies, they release it in 3D from the beginning.
Yeah, you get
wait.
your choice, 2D or 3D, whichever, and then you pay extra for 3D.
Yeah, but most of them, most movies, if they're going to release it in 3D, they're releasing it right away. They're not waiting a few months to get it out in this new format if it's been playing, regular for a while. So I think that'd be very interesting whether that would take off if they do that, because but sometimes the director's cut is completely different than what the studio wants. Like, for example, I recently saw the remake of Total Recall, the theatrical cut, and I thought it was okay. A little too much action, but I mean, I thought it was a decent movie. And then they released the director's cut on Blu-ray. I didn't get a chance to see it because I don't own a Blu-ray player. Like everybody else does, but I looked at pictures and I looked at how it's different, and I'm like, wow, it's like it must be a completely different movie because they changed so much, and there's characters that are in the director's cut that's not in there, or they're played by different people, and the story's a little bit different, and there's an extra dimension. I'm like, wow,
right?
What if they did that with the movie theater? Like, if the remake didn't do very well, what if they? Because sometimes I guess the studio gets nervous with what the director does, and they make him change a few things, and they're like, oh, don't worry, we'll put it out on DVD as a director's cut. But what if they do that while it's still in theaters? They're like, okay, this movie's been out for a couple months, it's not doing too well, let's release the director's cut. We'll get new people in there, we'll get people that saw the movie back into the theaters, we'll make more money. Yeah,
if the director and the producer want to do that, then it might just work in order to get people to see it. Yeah, for sure. I mean, but that's interesting. I mean, I don't know if I'd ever go see this movie or not. Maybe I might rent it just for shock value or whatever. But I don't think I'd see it in theaters. But yeah, if other movies like that would be interesting. It would have been nice if they had done that with Sucker Punch, because then maybe you would have liked it more, because you didn't like it to begin with.
Well, I don't know. Did they ever release a director's cut of Sucker Punch?
Not that I know.
Yeah, because I mean,
not into theaters anyway.
Because I know sometimes with director's cuts, sometimes they add stuff that doesn't always help the movie. Like, arguably, Apocalypse Now Redux, many people still prefer the theatrical cut, and some people say the new footage doesn't add to the movie. So that's something, because that's another thing people will fall in with director's cuts. I know with some director's cuts or extended cuts, you do get more out of it, like Lord of the Rings or maybe the Total Recall remake, but, that's just something to think about. I'm sorry, Stuart, if we went off topic with your question, but this is fascinating. What if this becomes, something studios want to, try out with movies? I don't know. But anyway, Stuart, thank you very much. If you would like to, if anybody else would like to ask us a question about anything, like what our favorite movies are, what do we think of this or that, you can post them in the comment box. But anyway, thank you very much for watching our Ask the Critics segment, and we'll see you next time.